Have you ever wondered how a narcissist is created? Well, by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how that looks. Hi, my name is Michelle Paradise, and welcome to my channel where I bring evidence-based information coupled with my own personal experiences to help you navigate the most difficult relationship in your life, which is the one with yourself. So let's get started. How does a narcissist develop? Where do they come from? Are they born that way? Is it genetic? Is it epigenetic? Well, actually, it isn't genetic. We haven't found any genetic markers for narcissism. It actually develops in childhood, and it develops from adverse childhood experiences in childhood. So let me just go back to the beginning of what it's like to be a child, and it's going to help you to understand it even more. The first year of our life, we are all narcissists, and that's exactly the way it's meant to be. We can't change ourselves. We can't feed ourselves. We can't even turn ourselves over most of the time. We can't walk. We can't talk. We can't do anything for ourselves. So we need everybody to look after us. And that's the real key ingredient in narcissism, which is everything is incoming. Okay. However, the baby is doing exactly what they're meant to be doing. So fast forward a bit, and by the age of 3, we're now individuating and separating from the parent figures. And I use the term parent figures because not everybody is raised by a biological family member. But we have this attunement, hopefully, to our parent figure. However, the narcissistic child is individuating and separating from that parent figure, but not successfully. Because what is happening is they don't feel safe enough to separate. Their needs aren't met. Maybe they're still trying to absolutely please mommy and daddy, or mommy and daddy is doting on them and they are struggling to let that go. I will unpack that a little bit more. We'll treat it as a spectrum. And what I'm talking about, I'm not specifically talking about NPD, even though that's on the spectrum, narcissistic personality disorder. I'm talking about narcissistic personality style. So there's a 3-year-old, and they're now standing on their own 2 feet. They have some words, they can feed themselves, they can do many things for themselves. And they are going out to explore the world a bit more. Moving that film along a bit further, the first 7 years of our lives, we pretty much have our personality in place. There are some predispositions and some temperament traits that affect that, but our personality really comes from our adaptations to our environment, which is called epigenetics. It's an environmental relationship that we have, positive and negative. And the child's needs, when I say about having the child's needs met, are to be seen, to be heard, and to be validated, and to be accepted just the way they are. Now, that sounds very simple, but not every child gets that. So these children, in the first 7 years of their lives, really have to have their needs met in order for them to have a healthy relationship with their world. And you've probably heard about attachment styles. So a healthy relationship would look like a securely attached child, securely attached to the parent figure, so that they feel safe to go out into the world and to explore, knowing their parent figure or figures are still there. They're like their anchor, their safe space, their safety net that they can always come back to. A lot of children don't get that. So they're sort of flung out into the world, searching, confused, trying to figure out how to get their needs met. So what the narcissist does, the narcissistic personality style does, is it realizes it liked all the incoming. How can I continue to get people to give me stuff? And they begin to figure that out and adapt their personality to get their needs met. And the thing is that our brain, our ability to process the emotions and the nuance of relationships isn't really set until about our mid-20s. So we've got a long way to go to do that. So on this journey of trying to figure out who we are, the narcissist realizes, as I said earlier, that they need incoming stuff because they're actually the most insecure person in the room. So remember, they are not securely attached. They do not feel secure in themselves. So the world becomes very transactional to them. So that's at the thin end of the spectrum of no needs met. Now, I'm not blaming parents here, because every parent comes into their child's life with their own set of traumas. Now, some parents get help, they learn how to process it, they do some healing, but a lot of parents don't. So they are doing the best with the knowledge and the information they have, but it's not always the best for the child. So the child gets imprinted with this insecurity and goes out into the world and makes an absolute mess of it, they have no empathy, no conscience. They're quite delusional. You know all of these things about narcissism, I'm sure. And they don't know how to connect to the world. They're very shut down, quite entitled, quite grandiose, usually very charismatic. And there are at least 4 narcissistic personality styles, which I will talk about another time. So here's this child at the thin end of the wedge. Now, the thicker end of the wedge, and I say that because they appear to get everything, that is called the golden child syndrome. Now, this child is doted on by their parents, usually especially one, and frequently that one parent could also be on the narcissistic spectrum, because what they're doing is they're molding and shaping this child in the likeness of them. Golden child in this sense means exactly what you think it means. They get everything they need, want, and desire. However, it is still transactional. And this is what really destroys the child, because the child has to earn everything. They're not realizing this because they're children. And they're in this very stuck energy. And that is really important for you to remember, because what happens to the narcissist is that they physically change and they physically grow up. So they may become tall and strong and get married, have children, buy houses, jobs. However, that stuck energy, that childlike energy, is still stuck inside of them. So they have not emotionally grown up. They have not emotionally evolved. They've just physically grown up and evolved. And they are, as I say, stuck in this personality style, and they don't know that there's anything wrong with it, which is why it's so difficult to heal this particular personality style. Because in order to heal something, you need to be aware of it. You need to see it as a problem and want to get some help. And they don't. So they go out into the world looking for targets, looking for supply. And this is a simple illustration of what that looks like. So this is the narc, and this is the supply wheel. And on that, we are all the narc's targets. So the narcissist needs 4 things for you to be their supplier, and they are sex, supply, safety, and service. And if you have one of those 4 things that they need, you will continue to stay on their supply wheel. If you don't, they will, as you know, devalue you and discard you. The 3 stages of being with a narcissist are love bombing, devaluation, and discard. That doesn't mean that you're gone forever, because they also do something else called hoovering, which means they come back for you. Again, I'll talk about that on another video. So here you are. You might be like, this was my experience. My personality style was people pleasing, fawning. So I was going outside of myself to get my needs met, but differently than a narcissist, because mine was about, let's give to people so they like me. It's just as manipulative, but it's a very different way of doing it. So here you have the narcissist, which is the taker, and here you have the people pleaser, fawner, that is the giver. And when they meet, they form the most perfect trauma bond, which is very hard, especially for the people pleaser, to see. The narc might see it because remember, they have very little empathy, the ability to love. So they're like, yes, I'm getting all of my needs met. And the people pleaser is wondering why they feel empty inside, why they feel wiped out, burned out, like they have nothing else to give. But they really struggle for a long time to see. And this was me. I struggled for a very long time to see in my 16-year marriage that I was married to a narc. And it took a lot of really big things to poke me, to wake me up, to realize that. One of my favorite expressions in a narcissistic relationship is that it's best seen in the rearview mirror and not in the windshield. So when you're in it, you don't realize you're in it. So, very simply put, this is where a narcissist comes from. It comes from an environment from where there is adverse childhood experiences, that is neglect, that is sometimes being hit, abused. There may be mental health issues in the family, physical health issues, socioeconomic issues in the family. Whatever it is, there is lack of attunement, security, and safety for the child. So I have a lot of compassion for these children. However, they can grow up to be really hideous, difficult creatures, end up really not liking them, but they've been imprinted with this personality style, not by choice, by survival. So please, some understanding for the narcissist if you can, and some compassion. I'm not saying forgiveness. And you can have all of this from a distance and keep yourself away from them, but it really helps to set you free when you begin to understand they did not choose this personality style. Thank you very much for following me today and listening to my video. Please hit the subscribe button, and we love your comments, so please leave some comments. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.